This Saturday, you have a choice. Will you cast your ballot for Moneybags Malcolm, or Electricity Bill Shorten, or Dynamite the Dams Di Natale, or Xylophone Xenophon, or Bob Samurai Pizza Cutter, or Barnaby You're the Joyce Try and Understand It, or Junkyard Julie Bishop, or Tanya Plimsoll Sex, or Herman the Pangolin Asquith, or Sarcastic Sarah, or Erogenous Graham, or Big Mick, or Little Mick, or medium-sized Johnny Thunders, or Spondulic Simon, or Herman, the largest bear of the forest, or Andy Anderson, the Anders of the Andes, or Brazilian Brian, or Nina, just Nina, or your mother, or Mrs. Brown, you've got a lovely daughter, or Crab-faced Terry, or Terry-faced Crab, or even Fiona Patton. Of course, you can't cast your vote for any of those because we operate under the Westminster system. Under the Westminster system, we don't vote for a leader. We vote for a local member. And in many cases, we don't even vote for that. The Westminster system pretty much ensures that your vote won't count. But I don't see that as a reason not to vote. My father used to say about politics, less partisan, more artisan. He might have been saying less parmesan. Less parmesan, more nappy san. Less Daniel San. He said less Daniel San. Politically, he believed that the Karate Kid franchise focused too much on one character at the expense of development of peripheral characters. But he wasn't a strongly political person. But it's people like my dad, I think, that politicians neglect. Because people don't want to know about the economy or the budget or the tax system or whether ASIO is training eels to assassinate our leaders. People want to know about things that affect their own lives, you know. Like, for example, yesterday I walked into the backyard and I stepped on a dead fox. Now, what's Bill Shorten going to do about that? What's Malcolm Turnbull going to do about that? What's Sarah Hanson Young going to do about that? You know, politicians are out of touch with ordinary people, and that's because I think we've lost the art of letter writing. When I was a boy, you know, members of parliament would write hundreds of letters every week. They would write letters to all their constituents, and when we wrote back, they would write back to us, so that you really felt that your member of parliament wasn't just a politician, they were a pen pal. They don't do that anymore because of Twitter. And I think that's a shame. The point is, just because your vote is wasted doesn't mean it didn't count. It did count. Just not for anything. But the point is, whether you vote Labour or Liberal or Flux, we can just celebrate the fact that we live in a democracy, if you call this living, and every time an election comes around, we get to go out and cast our vote without the threat of violence. Although some of us obviously do have the threat of violence because we live next door to a guy who has a lot of anger issues, and he knows I've been stealing his mail. So I guess what I'm saying is, whether you vote this election for Perky Pine, Mendacious Morrison, Dodgy Doug Cameron, Jolly George Brandis, Pissy Peter Dutton, or even avaricious Adam Bant, make sure that you are fully informed about the consequences. And if those consequences turn out to be different to the consequences that you were fully informed about, you can definitely say it's not your fault. That's going to be the theme of election 2016 for me. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, Australia.